Hey, welcome to Band Advice TV. Today, I'm going to show you my Sunday morning rig. I'm your host, Mark V. This is tips, tricks, giggles, and... Hey everybody, welcome. So a couple months ago, I came across a meme that showed two movers hauling in this giant pedal board that's just filled with effects. And the caption was something to the effect of the praise and worship guitar player loading in for Sunday morning service. Okay, that's cute. Definitely cute, funny, maybe a tad bit rooted in the truth. Look, the fact of the matter is that we use lots of pedals. And I think that sometimes we get razzed for that too. I actually had a guy comment one time on a picture of my pedal board saying, I'm killing all the natural tone of my axe and my amplifier with all those pedals. Okay, possibly in his opinion. But the fact of the matter is, on any given Sunday, we have to play 6, 7, 8, 10 different songs that could be from 10 different artists and have 10 different tones. So you kind of have to rely on having a good pedal board that can handle all that, because you're not going to be making adjustments on your amplifier. You're not going to be swapping out your axe in the middle of service. So that's why we have all those pedals, and I'm going to kind of go through each one of the ones that I have and kind of give you an idea of the different tones that I get out of mine on any given Sunday. So, all right, this is my typical Sunday morning rig. We'll start off at the beginning of the chain with my Dunlap volume pedal. What I really like about this volume pedal is that it has a tuner out, so that when I am in the quiet off position, the tuner can still run. It comes in handy because my particular tuner that I'm using does have a little bit of a pop every time you kick in and on and off. So, okay, next up, I always start with compression, and I always leave it on. I'll switch between this one. This is the Dynacomp from MXR, or sometimes the Keeley compressor. Depends which guitar I'm using and what our set list happens to be that day. I tend to play a little heavy-handed, so I like to have a little bit of compression on there just to kind of smooth it out and to give me a little bit more sustain. Next in the chain is my Pog. It's a polyphonic octave generator. Gives me an octave up and an octave down. This is great for those cases when you have a simple lead line, like a little motif that the guitar has to play, but it needs to be fattened up. Let's say you had two guitars that were playing it or something. You kick this on and it really gives you a much fatter lead line. Okay, next is my first of my two drive pedals. This is the Wampler Clarksdale. I was running a Tube Screamer TS-808. This is based off the Tube Screamer circuit, but with the 3-band EQ. Got to make a little confession. This was kind of an impulse buy. I had at the time I got this, I had recently visited Clarksdale. I stood at the crossroads, and then I happened to see this for sale. It's like, I gotta have it. Hey, it proved itself. It stays on my board, and I use it quite a bit. My next overdrive pedal, it's the Keeley Super Fat Mod. This is based off his modification he did to the Boss Blues driver. This is kind of my go-to drive pedal. It's got a really rich sound to it, and this is the one I will use probably 75% of the time. Okay, next up is my MXR analog chorus. Now, I'm not setting this thing to give you a cheesy 80s chorus sound. I've got it set just to kind of give a little bit of a sultry tone when I'm playing clean, and just like doing a simple downstroke kind of thing. Got to have a tremolo. You never know when you need to add a little bit of a tremolo to a cool solo, or work in conjunction with the analog chorus when you're doing that clean sound. Every worship pedal board has got to have some sort of delay on it, and we'll get into some of that later. And then I have my TC Electronic Hall of Fame reverb. It's nice having reverb on the board, and that way you can kind of control it and change the reverb tones as you need. Then finally, that's the Moon Radar. I'm not using an amplifier. I am going directly through this cab simulator. It's also a power amp sim as well, and this goes directly in. It's been a really nice change having that, because it helps reduce the stage noise when we're playing in church. And I know our sound guy loves it, and it's got a really great tone. I've dialed this in. In fact, my setting on it is using 4 greenbacks, the 412 greenback for the cab sims. And with this, I can actually set where the microphone is in relation to the cone and everything like that. So the Moon Radar, for the price, it is just awesome. So, and then my Altoids 10 is actually a battery pack. You can see one of the videos I made on how I built this battery pack. and it powers my tuner there. I do have the MXR power brick, the DC power brick underneath the pedal board there, but of course it doesn't have quite enough. I'm like one shy, which is why I use the Altoids tin as a battery pack to power my tuner pedal. Alright, so let's go through some of the basic tones that I use my pedals and my guitar for. First and foremost, I'm running a Gibson Les Paul. This is part of their Faded series. It's the Warren Cherry. Love the guitar, love how it feels. The guys at Sweetwater did a great job of getting it set up for me. Awesome investment. Digging it. So what I'm going to do right now, this is kind of my rocking sound, my rocking tone. I'm going through the Dynacomp into my Keeley Super Fat Mod, into the Hall of Fame 2 reverb set at Spring Reverb, and then into the Moore Radar with the 412 greenback configuration. What I normally do is while I'm playing rhythm, is I will have my volume set to about 7.5 and 8. It'll just kind of give me that little bit of an overdrivey sound, nice and warm. Then if I need a little more crunch, I just roll this thing all the way up to 10. Rarely will I ever need to have anything heavier sounding than that in the praise and worship situation. If so, if I really need to just be ugly, I can always kick on the Clarksdale on top of it, and that'll just really get it dirty. Let's say if you need just a little bit of a cleaner tone, but you still want a little bit of that crunch in there, what I'll do is I'll move to the center position, roll my main pot back to about 8.5, about 7.5, 8, and then bring the second pot up to get that tone that sounds like it's just right about there. This is good if you kind of got a little bit of a bluesier thing. Okay, now from this tone, what I'll often do is then add some delay to it on top of my reverb, and that'll give me what I call the Hillsong tone. And it goes something like this. Now, there'll be times in which that tone is great, but because it's kind of, it's using both pickups, it's got a warmth to it. There may be times that you need something a little more trebly, but since my treble on this guitar is set to be pretty crunchy, that's when I'll switch over from the Super Fat to the Clarksdale. And that comes in real handy when you're doing a song like this. Okay, another tone I told you about is using the chorus. So what I'm going to do here is, I've got the Super Fat Mod on, I'm going to the center position, I'm running my analog chorus, then into my Hall of Fame reverb, and out to my cab sim. Then if you really want to get fancy, you can add a little bit of the tremolo. off the chorus so you can hear how it sounds without the chorus. So you can hear how that chorus really had an effect on this, but sometimes you need just something as simple as this. Alright. The final thing I'm going to show you guys is a quintessential praise and worship guitar technique. It's called a swell. And basically, by using your volume pedal, your delay, and your reverb, you're creating this sound that just kind of comes out of nowhere, rises up and lingers, while the next sound comes out of nowhere, rises up and replaces it and lingers. And that is done basically by striking the note while your volume pedal is off, and then slowly rising it up. And then what happens is that the delay will perpetuate that sound and keep it going while you are pulling your volume pedal back down to get the next tone. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bump up my feedback and my level on my delay, because you want it to trail off. First of all, you want your repeats to be really close to your initial tone. You want your feedback to give you a lot of trails. And then you're going to use your volume pedal. So it goes something like this. All right, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Just kind of a rundown of what my typical Sunday morning rig is and the different tones that I use for different situations. As you see, I can get away with quite a bit with the limited number of pedals that I have. I suppose if I were to be in a situation where I was playing, 2 or 3 hours long, then I might actually need some more. Who knows? Hard to say. To each his own. Have fun with it. Don't let anybody tell you you're doing it wrong. If it sounds good, and if other people like the way it sounds, build your pedal board as big as you want to. All right, well, I'm your host, Mark V, and until next time, peace.